Going back to Panama, Joseph. I don't want to go to this pregnancy without Matt.
At exactly 2:07 a.m., Jasmine's life changed with 7 small words that hit harder than any punch. I miss you. Please, don't ignore me. No name, no contact saved. Just a message from a woman who sounded like she wasn't guessing. She was expecting him. Jasmine's eyes stayed frozen on the screen, but her breath didn't. Her chest stopped moving. In that moment, every atom of her body screamed something was wrong, but her hand stayed still. Her heart didn't race. It sank. The apartment was silent, but not peaceful. Matt, the man she crossed oceans for, slept next to her like everything was normal. One arm tossed over his side, face half buried in the pillow, as if the future wasn't exploding 3 feet from him. Jasmine sat up slowly, not with panic, but with that terrifying kind of calm only heartbreak can teach you. She didn't cry. Not yet. Not before she knew how far this lie went. She stared at the message. It wasn't sexual. It wasn't dirty. It wasn't loud. And that made it worse. Because love bombs are obvious. This was worse. This was routine. Familiar. The tone was intimate. Natural. Too natural. This woman wasn't shooting her shot. She was expecting a reply. The first emotion that hit Jasmine wasn't anger. It was nausea. She scrolled. A heart emoji. A soft selfie. A timestamp that told her Matt had been up texting while she was in the next room. That last thread, where the woman said you mentioned today was special, and she signed off with a pink heart, sealed it. Everything Jasmine had tried to suppress for months. The coldness, the late nights, the phone turned face down, the extra long gym sessions, the headaches when she wanted closeness, all of it clicked into place. This wasn't paranoia. This was confirmation. Her body was shaking, but her brain was flatlining. What she thought was their new beginning in America was clearly his restart with someone else. And the worst part? She had defended him. She had begged people to stop calling her dramatic. She had apologized to him for crying. She had thought she was crazy, insecure, codependent. And yet, somehow, she was right. Quietly, she turned her head to Matt. Sound asleep, peaceful, as if he wasn't secretly building a new relationship while she held the one they had together in her hands every day, trying to keep it from falling apart. He always looked like this when he slept. Harmless. Trustworthy. Before she even realized she was moving, Jasmine stood and walked to the mirror. Her eyes were unrecognizable. The woman who stared back wasn't jealous. She wasn't delusional. She wasn't dramatic. She was betrayed. Fully. Completely. And the damage wasn't theoretical anymore. It was written in blue iMessage bubbles. Her heart was pounding now. Her stomach felt heavy and hollow at once, like she could scream or collapse. But she didn't do either. Instead, she picked up Matt's phone one more time, opened the thread, took screenshots. This wasn't about proof for the world. It was about holding on to reality. Because Matt had gaslighted her so many times, she needed to know she wasn't losing her mind again tomorrow morning. Then she closed the phone and sat on the edge of the bed. She stared at him, not in rage, in disbelief. How was this the same man who cried when she left Panama? Who swore they'd build a life together? Who said, you and me, ride or die? She had left her kids, her home, her language, her community, everything for this exact man. And yet, he was building an exit strategy before her plane even landed. Her voice didn't raise, but it cracked slightly as she whispered Matt. He stirred. Again, Matt, wake up, please. He rubbed his eyes like it was a dream, opened them slow. Squinted. What's wrong? Jasmine held out his phone. Not yelling, not shaking it, just offering it, knowing it contained the question he couldn't manipulate his way out of. She whispered, through a clenched jaw and glassy eyes, don't lie to me. Not this time. You think the betrayal was the worst part? No. It's what Matt said next that shattered her. Matt didn't even look worried at first. He sat up slowly, blinked at Jasmine with that half-confused, half-annoyed face people use when they're pretending nothing's wrong, even though they know exactly what's coming. He took the phone from her hand, glanced at the screen like it was a small misunderstanding, and muttered the worst possible response in that moment. She's just a friend. A friend who sends selfies, Jasmine said. A friend who says she misses you. A friend who knows what day meant something to both of you? Matt's silence didn't scream guilt. It whispered it. He lowered the phone like it burned his hand. Jasmine didn't move, didn't raise her voice. There was no scene, no chaos, only calm, lethal clarity. So, either you tell me the full story, or I keep asking questions you don't want to answer. Matt finally looked up. That smug calm faded just enough for the panic to peek through. We were just talking, he said, voice stiff. I haven't seen her recently. That single word made Jasmine's stomach twist. Not never. Not before you. Just recently. Which meant she existed during. Matt kept talking like a man reading from a script he doesn't believe in anymore. She reached out. I didn't respond. She knows I'm filming. She's trying to stir drama. You don't send pink hearts to someone you're trying to forget. You don't smile under a blanket, eyes soft, and text please don't ignore me. Unless you believe the person you're talking to has been paying attention. Jasmine pushed the screenshots back toward him. Photos. Call logs. Message threads with timestamps. She asked the one question he couldn't dance around. Was this going on before I came here? And this time, Matt didn't speak at all. He looked away. That breath Jasmine pulled into her chest felt like swallowing glass. Not because of anger, but because everything that had confused her, his mood swings, the distancing, the weird guilt trips about her emotions, suddenly had a context. He didn't pull away because she was loud, or because she was too emotional. He pulled away because he was getting emotional fulfillment somewhere else. Quietly. Secretly. Consistently. That's when Jasmine realized the scariest part. Matt wasn't cheating like someone who lost control. He was cheating like someone who planned it. And then came the faint sound every reality star eventually learns to dread. A light knock on the door. She looked at it. Then, back at Matt. His face said it all. Production had heard the voices rise. They were waiting, lurking, ready to catch the scene. Jasmine didn't answer. She stood still for a moment. Her chest was heaving, not with rage, but with something deeper. Betrayal? Sure. But also clarity. Crystal clarity. Because in that exact second, Jasmine realized the fight ahead wasn't just about Matt. It was about the truth. She hadn't just been lied to by the man she loved. She'd been packaged by a system that needed her to be unstable. A system that would turn her humiliation into a cliffhanger. A show that would clip her tears into content. That knock wasn't innocent. Cameras were outside that door. Ready to capture the Latina meltdown. Ready to ride the ratings of her pain. She knew exactly how they'd frame it. Emotional Jasmine spirals again. Ruins calm, stable Matt's moment. The way producers always do. Matt turned to her, whispered like he was trying to catch up. Don't say anything yet. Let's talk first. Too late. Jasmine walked to the door, unlocked it, opened it halfway, and saw the handler pretending to be casual. Mic attached. Camera behind. Already filming sound. Hey, Jasmine, he began. But she cut him off without blinking. You filmed this, and I leave for real. Then, she added one sentence that silenced the entire hallway. You'll lose your season star. She thought Matt broke her. But she hadn't met TV betrayal yet. The next 48 hours were nearly silent. Matt stayed in the guest room. Jasmine didn't shout. Didn't ask. Didn't cry. She didn't even flinch when he walked past her in the hallway. That was the scariest part. She was calm. And this time, it wasn't for show. It was the kind of silence that makes people uncomfortable. Not empty silence, loaded silence. The kind that builds under pressure before something snaps. While Matt scrolled Instagram like the house wasn't burning, Jasmine was building a timeline. Quietly. Precisely. She checked every old text, matched them to filming dates, searched camera call sheets for missing hours, cross-referenced receipts she'd seen in his pockets with hotel reservations. Some weren't even from the same city they were filming in. By the second night, she found something that made her stomach drop. Matt had a second phone. It wasn't hidden well. Bottom of a sock drawer, wrapped in jeans. But clear enough that he never expected she'd be looking anymore. Why look, right? She was supposed to be the one emotionally wrecked. Distracted. Easy to manage. The second phone had fewer texts, but they were worse. Because they weren't flirty. They were practical. Plans. Meetups. Pick-me-up notes. Check-ins after filming. A Lyft ride to her apartment. A confirmation for dinner Matt never took Jasmine to. This time, she didn't rage. She just documented. By the third morning, Jasmine had a timeline printed out. Screenshots labeled. One photo showed Matt cuddling both women on 2 different days, 3 days apart. He didn't even change the shirt. Same flannel, same smirk, different girl. Meanwhile, production hovered. Not confronting, just checking in. Pretending not to have heard the first blow-up. Pretending not to know Matt's body language was off. Quiet Matt. Reliable Matt. The stable contrast to Jasmine. Their storyline centerpiece. Their safe man. But Jasmine saw right through it now. These weren't producers managing a crisis. They were damage control artists patching holes in a plot. Trying to preserve the arc, that neat little box where Jasmine would be outrageous, Matt would be patient, and everything else would sit in the edit bay. But that box was on fire now. And the person who held the lighter was done playing along. She skipped going through handlers or story assistants. She emailed the showrunner directly, asked for a private meeting. No camera crew, no notes, no producers. They scheduled it the next morning at the production office, away from the set. Jasmine arrived 15 minutes early. When they tried to record audio, she refused. No cameras, no mics, she said. Either you hear me now, or you hear me in court. Inside, she laid everything out. Screenshots, phone backups, Instagram DMs, voicemails, receipts, location histories, his second phone, the name of the girlfriend. Even the timeline of when Matt started detaching emotionally, all matched to filming days. The showrunner stared at it like he was trying to find an escape hatch in the table. "We didn't know," he said, flat, unblinking. Jasmine smiled, but her eyes didn't. "Your crew knew." She said it without yelling. No threats, no dramatics, just the truth, standing taller than anyone in the room. And that was the moment the power shifted. For the first time, Jasmine wasn't there to perform. She wasn't there to save face. She was there to burn the script and write her own. Because every reality show runs on one thing: control. Dialogue can be edited, scenes can be reshot, but truth, raw, bared, irrefutable truth, only needs one shot. And Jasmine had more than proof. She had motive. She had control. She took a breath. One statement left. Either you roll the cameras on what really happened, her voice didn't waver, or I do. This wasn't heartbreak. It was execution. And she had the weapon. The message came in late. Jasmine was half asleep, headphones in, staring at a cracked ceiling tile when her phone vibrated. It wasn't from a follower. It wasn't hate mail. It was a quiet alert most people ignore. Message request. From a name she didn't recognize until she saw the profile picture. It was her. The woman from the second phone. The one from the heart emojis. The one Matt swore was just a friend, wrapped in a hoodie, smiling softly, captioned with some Pinterest quote about honesty. Jasmine didn't need to open the message to know it would cut. "I think we need to talk. I didn't know you were still with him." That sentence stopped Jasmine's breathing cold. There was nothing dramatic about it. No insult, no confrontation. The tone was casual, even polite. But it landed like a slap. Not because the woman was angry, because she clearly thought she was the real girlfriend. Matt hadn't accidentally cheated. He had given this woman, all along, the confidence to believe Jasmine was gone, that she was out of the picture, that this wasn't betrayal at all. And suddenly, it all made sense. The midnight messages, the unapologetic confidence, the absence of secrecy. This woman wasn't hiding because Matt made sure she never thought she had to. Jasmine replied, short, surgical. "What did he tell you?" The response came back faster than her heartbeat could catch up. Screenshots. Dozens. Each one worse than the last. Matt telling her that Jasmine was unstable, that she was hyper for the camera, that she was only part of the storyline, that she knew the deal, that she was temporary, just for show. One voice note made Jasmine clench her teeth until her jaw hurt. Matt, in his own voice, actually laughing, as he told the woman, "It's all TV. They feed her lines. She acts like that on purpose. You're the one I'm real with." She didn't scream. She didn't grab a camera. She didn't even blink. Instead, she sat up straighter, opened the Notes app, and started cataloging timestamps, each receipt, each message, the exact moment when production told her to dial it up on camera, the exact night Matt didn't come home, citing a delay with filming, the dinner Jasmine made that sat cold at the table while he was out doing confessionals. Turns out, those confessionals were happening at a seafood restaurant. With this woman, she was no longer shocked. That part was over. Now, Jasmine understood something uglier. She hadn't just been cheated on. She had been rewritten, cast as loud, difficult, suspicious, while Matt played the cool, reasonable saint, America's patience tester. And behind the camera? Nobody stopped it. The editors let the lie live. The producers egged it on. The public swallowed it, gifted Jasmine every trope they love to hate. Crazy, jealous, drama queen. But the real twist? The one that lit a fire under her spine? Even the girlfriend didn't know she was the other woman. She wasn't Matt's side piece. She thought she was the priority. And Jasmine had been reduced to a device in someone else's plot. She didn't cry. She highlighted every message. Screen recorded the audio. Tagged the burner phone's location data. Took snapshots of Matt's word-for-word breakdown of production plans. Dates. Labels. Camera blocks. Studio fake-outs. The full scam. She even found one line where he told the girlfriend, "We'll go public when the season wraps." As if Jasmine were the commercial break. Not the life partner. Not the woman who left her home, her children, everything. The woman built into the story pitch like set design. And that's when Jasmine stood up again. This time, not to fight Matt. He was now irrelevant. She didn't pack. She didn't call anyone. She didn't even rehearse what she was about to say. She walked straight into production's administrative wing. Unannounced. The crew was mid-shoot. Assistants were pacing. Someone was taping a studio confession inside. She didn't blink. She walked to the back office, opened her Notes app, and dropped the screenshots on the table. One by one. No explanation. And when the showrunner came out, asking if this was scheduled, she didn't wait for the full sentence. "You shoot my truth," she said. "Calm, cold, or I walk. Completely. And I'll tell my story without your cameras." The room froze. She walked out before they could even agree. No yelling this time. That's what scared them most. Her voice hadn't raised. Her eyes didn't break. Her strategy was tighter than their whole script. Jasmine returned to her hotel and waited. No calls. No text sent. No social media stunts. She unplugged her mic, sat on the edge of the hotel bed, let the cold AC wrap around her while emails flew, meetings were booked, damage control alarms blared across the network chain. She didn't need to do a thing. The pressure was theirs now. Matt had created 2 versions of his life. Only one of them was still hiding. Matt lied to both women. But only one is ready to go public. When producers saw the evidence, everything Jasmine had dropped on that table in cold silence, there was no more pretending. No more scripted restraint. The flip switch was instant. Matt, the nice guy of the season, their emotional anchor, their underdog sweetheart, was now dead weight. And dead weight does not get protected. They acted quick. No makeup, no lighting, no pre-interview setup. They pulled Matt into a last-minute confessional block and pressed record. He looked relaxed at first, clearly thinking they were setting him up to look good, maybe film a redemption arc. But when the line producer stepped into frame holding a printed stack of screenshots and time-stamped receipts, Matt's shoulders dropped, just slightly. He knew. They began with a simple question. Matt, tell us about your relationship with Jasmine as of last week. He gave the usual. It's complicated. Jasmine has strong feelings. We've had our highs and lows. I think we just see the world differently. Soft, quiet deflection. The Matt special. Then they brought out the receipts. First, the message from the girlfriend, miss you. Don't ignore me again. Matt blinked. That was taken out of context. Next, Jasmine's screen recording of a voice note he sent. They feed her lines. She knows her role. Matt shook his head and smirked. That was a joke. People don't get my humor. It didn't matter what he said. The footage didn't lie. And for the first time, the producers didn't cushion him. They didn't reframe it. They let the clip play back in front of him as he squirmed. They leaned in. Did you tell this woman Jasmine was only here for the storyline? Silence. Matt tried the coward's pivot. I think maybe she misunderstood what I said. It was emotional stuff. Confusing times. That one sentence sealed it. He was done. You could feel it. Behind the camera, the crew's body language changed. Everyone was still, rigid, quiet. The air between takes felt sharp. The producers didn't stop pressing. Jasmine screenshots had pins, voicemail timelines, hotel receipts that didn't match the production schedule. There were Lyft trips, dinners charged to his card in a city Jasmine wasn't in, DMs forward dated during episodes. And she had already shown them everything. Matt kept clinging to deflection like it was a strategy. We weren't exclusive. We've had talks where she said she needed space, which might have worked if Jasmine hadn't already shared the audio of him whispering, "You're my future, not her. Just hold on till it ends." That footage wasn't even on her phone anymore. It was on the studio server. So they asked again, was she your future? Matt curled into his sweater like an actor who realized he missed the cue. I was figuring it out. Once, long ago, his softness looked like emotional intelligence. Now it looked like rot. In the adjacent room, Jasmine sat in a folding chair, watching, listening. No mic pack, no lights in her face, just headphones and the cold truth echoing through an off-screen monitor. His voice used to be comfort. Now it was static. She didn't smile. She didn't tear up. There was no revenge glow, only stillness. Because Jasmine understood something, Matt didn't. Justice doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it comes in silence. And sometimes that silence is louder. Back in the booth, Matt started to sweat. Not metaphorically. Literal sweat pooling at the collar of his shirt, sticking to his back. The line producer leaned in with the final proof, a scheduled dinner reservation in Miami. Date and time synced perfectly, with a missed shoot day where production went easy on him for anxiety. He told them he needed emotional rest. But he'd gone straight from that canceled shoot to a steakhouse with his girlfriend, laughing about how messy Jasmine makes things. That line came from the girlfriend, in a screenshot Jasmine never even posted. One they cross-checked with camera metadata. Make no mistake, this wasn't a man confessing. This was a man being cornered. And cornered people always break. He sighed hard, hands clasped tight. I didn't want to lose either of them, he said suddenly. No prompting, no setup. And Jasmine, still watching from the other room, almost laughed. Almost. She leaned forward slightly, whispered so soft only the assistant next to her heard it. You never had me. Matt built his lies like a fortress, but the truth is inside, and it's torching everything. The crew was already setting the stage by the time Jasmine arrived on set. A fresh powder brush waited beside a mirror. Wardrobe sat folded on a rack. Someone had even placed a bottle of water with a sticky note labeled with her name, Jasmine, all lowercase. They were doing that thing they do when they know they messed up, but still want the footage. Soft smiles, light jokes. Casual chatter like none of them had been actively editing her breakdowns into B-roll for the last 6 weeks. One producer gently asked, You sure you don't want a touch-up? It's a big moment. Could frame it like a reset. Jasmine looked up. Not angry, not defensive. Just done. I brought my own frame, she said. She walked straight to the chair, sat down, and did the one thing nobody expected. She waited. No introduction, no mic check, no question. Just the kind of dead silence that forces everyone to stop moving. Start the camera, she said. So they did. No lights adjusted, no dramatic music. The most powerful footage they got that entire season was shot with Jasmine sitting still, her palms resting softly in her lap, eyes focused, expression unreadable. The first question came in a whisper, almost afraid. Jasmine, when did you know something was wrong with Matt? She blinked. Once. Then answered without looking away from the lens. 2 a.m. When a woman texted my fiancé asking him why he disappeared. No waver. No theatrics. Her voice was flat, her stare locked in. He didn't delete her number. He didn't say sorry. He told me she was a friend. Then he called her again as soon as I left the room. She paused. Not for effect, just to breathe. And I believed I was overreacting. I always believe that. Because production tells me, dial it back. He tells me I'm too intense. Viewers say I cry too much. I believed I was the problem. Again, one producer behind the camera blinked hard. You could hear the clench in someone's jaw off screen. When did it stop being about the relationship? Another voice asked, gently, like it already knew the answer. Jasmine raised her chin. When I realized the show needed me to fall apart on camera more than they cared whether I was okay. No drama, no shade, just facts. Words steady enough to slice through edit rooms, marketing meetings, and every chaotic Latina tag passed around in internal pitch calls. I wasn't dramatic. I was responding to a man deleting my life in front of me. Smiling on camera, saying kind things to my face, and telling another woman to hang on. Because I was temporary. Because I was a package he needed to survive the season. Now the camera wasn't watching her. It was defending itself. She stared straight ahead. Every time I cried, you filmed it. Every time I needed sleep, you asked for one more scene. When I found the second phone, you told me to wait until next week's shoot day. You needed flow. I was crumbling, and you needed scene transitions. The silence after that was thicker than the lights. Someone behind the camera dropped their pen. Jasmine's eyes didn't flicker. The interview wasn't angry. It was precise. Calculated. Calm. That calm people only reach when they've already bled too long to care how the scar looks. The next question stumbled. Do you think the audience misread you? Jasmine blinked slowly, then half smiled. Sometimes. But they were only shown what you wanted them to see. She looked down for a moment, then added, I gave up everything. My home, my children, my language. I knew it would be hard, but I thought maybe love was enough. Instead, I became a character. Not to him, to all of you. She leaned forward, voice low. Do you know what it feels like to have your crying turned into a meme? While the man who lied to you is praised for his patience? Or to see tweets calling you abusive while he's texting another woman behind your back? Nobody responded. Because everything she said was already on film. It had already happened. She sat back in the chair again, unmoving, eyes locked with the lens like it personally owed her something. And then came the closing blow. Quiet. Lethal. I won't cry this time. You've had enough footage of that. Today, I want you to film something else. She paused. I want you to film what it looks like when the crying stops. Then she looked off to the side. The interview was done. Not ended. Finished. Cut proof. No editor with morals would bury this. Outside that room, chaos broke. Producers huddled, whispering hard in corners. Some tried to spin it. We'll reframe it as growth. Others wanted to delay airing. One exec asked if they could cut half of her speech and bring Matt back for a response. Too late. Clips were already leaking. Insiders. Crew sympathizers. Even Jasmine's own recordings from that second phone had made the rounds. Twitter was exploding. Fans who once mocked her were now apologizing in hashtags. DMs flooded her inbox from viewers who finally saw what she had been forced to endure while being told to smile wider. The show had cast her as chaos. But she had become their clarity. They cast her as chaos. But she became their clarity. The crew called it a mediation, but it looked more like an ambush dressed in neutral tones. A small room. 2 chairs. A bland plant in the corner. As if fake greenery could soften the wreckage sitting dead center between them. Matt walked in first. Quiet, fidgeting with the hem of his shirt. Even now, he looked like he thought things could be patched. Not fixed, but managed. Maybe producers would soften things. Maybe Jasmine didn't hate him half as much as the internet did now. He took his seat, rehearsed his face. Something between regret and maturity. Then the door opened again. The quiet in the room shifted like air pressure when Jasmine stepped in. Calm, crisp. Her energy didn't fill the room. It emptied it. Everything else seemed small compared to her stillness. She didn't rush. She didn't frown. She simply walked to her seat, sat down, and folded her hands. No eye contact. Matt took a long breath, like this was his moment to salvage the narrative. I just want to say, I'm sorry. Things got out of hand. I never meant to hurt you. She didn't blink. Is that it? Matt paused. I didn't plan for things to overlap. I was confused. I thought I could balance both situations. He used the word situations. In that tiny word was a summary of how he saw it all. 2 women. 2 stories. 1 man, stuck in the middle. As if Jasmine hadn't been a whole life, as if she was just an inconvenience with a passport and a timeline. I should have been more honest, he added weakly. Jasmine looked at him for the first time the entire day. You should have been kind. That was it. No raised voice. No theatrics. But for a man who built his entire likability on seeming calm while others cracked, Matt suddenly looked unanchored, like the role he cast himself in was falling apart scene by scene. Is there anything else you need to say? She asked. Matt's lips moved like he was about to speak, but nothing came out. Maybe he realized no sentence could undo it. Maybe it finally clicked that people weren't correcting Jasmine anymore. They were listening to her. A long pause filled the space between them. And then came the moment that shut every window still cracked for a redemption angle. Jasmine stood up, voice soft. controlled. I choose myself right now. No mic drop, no smugness, no applause, just 5 words that held years of swallowed feelings, lonely nights, false promises, plane tickets, and whispers from producers that said, "It'll all make sense in the edit." Matt didn't respond. Because what do you say to a woman who walked through betrayal, gaslighting, and international humiliation and came out the other side not reduced, but refined? She didn't wait for his answer. She didn't ask for one. She walked out, hair pinned back, expression blank. But her walk was louder than any confessional. It was the walk of someone who doesn't owe you closure anymore. She already gave that to herself. Back in the hotel, Jasmine didn't debrief with handlers. She didn't stop for a post-interview take. She took off her mic, packed her suitcase, and called Panama. Her sister answered. Her kids were laughing in the background. And when Jasmine heard their voices, so normal, so present, so real, her own voice cracked for the first time in days. Not from pain, from release. Because all the things that producers said were distractions? Her children, her family, her attachment back home? That was where her joy lived. Not in a loft where Matt whispered lies and production cued soft music over her tears. Under the fluorescent hotel light, she laughed. Really laughed. Not for TV, not for comfort. It was the sound of weight falling off a person. Later that night, hotel staff said she walked to the front desk, asked for a new room, higher floor, facing the street. She wanted sunlight the next morning. She wanted a view. No showrunner. No scripts. No ring. Just her. And somewhere, in the show's tightly sealed, post-production vaults, a storm was brewing. Editors now had hours of footage they couldn't slice into a redemption edit. Crew members were leaking Jasmine's timeline to fan pages. A mic operator had shared a now viral thread about watching a woman unravel while being told not to cry until we reset the cameras. TLC executives weren't just worried about Jasmine. They were worried about precedent. Because Jasmine didn't storm out. She studied the system, exposed it, and walked out on her own terms, and the audience loved her for it. Fans who once questioned her were now sending her support. Former cast members quietly messaged her with stories of their own. What started as one woman's heartbreak was becoming a small rebellion, whispered across green rooms and shaded in panel interviews. For once, the franchise couldn't paint over the mess. Because the mess had receipts. And Jasmine didn't want revenge. She wanted accountability. She didn't want to be a villain or a victim. She just wanted her truth uncensored. And she got it. But the ripple effects of that 5-word closing line? Those were just beginning to show. Because once a storyline collapses from the inside, everything above it starts to crack. Producers thought they could contain it, reframe it, clip it into something palatable. But the footage was already moving. So the only question left was, what happened to Matt after Jasmine left? The backlash was immediate, and it wasn't just from fans. That's all coming up in our next story.